I cannot tell you how powerful that was. You have to get comfortable asking for business. And so what we have to really talk about is increasing the skill set. We have to sharpen the sword. Sales is a skill. Influencing people is a skill. Talking people off the ledge is a skill. Helping people make decisions for themselves, what I like to say is helping people help themselves, that is a skill set. Pull out your notepad. We're going to start writing, because the number one thing that every new agent wants to know is, if you just got your real estate license, here is exactly what you need to be focused on to build a strong foundation so you can have a great real estate career, one that's rewarding, one that is profitable. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Think about this. I know that everyone's like, oh, why'd you get into this business? I love homes. I love people. Yes, all those things are great. Those are good reasons to get into the business. But let's be honest, what's going to keep you in the business is being successful and closing deals. You are trying to make money. I am trying to make money. We are trying to have successful businesses. And that is why you have found yourself in the right place here on this video today. We're going to cover the 4 biggest pieces of advice that I can give you when I look back on the beginning of my career, what was really impactful, and when I made a couple changes, what got the ball freaking rolling. Welcome to the To The Moon channel. My name is Kyle Pettit. I am the host. Just a quick backstory about me. I got out of the military. I got into real estate, and I had no background. I mean, I had owned a home before. I had a little bit of kind of real estate investing experience. I had a rental property, but overall, my parents weren't in real estate. My parents didn't really know anything about real estate. You know, they had owned a home for, going on 20 years now. But I didn't grow up seeing the business in action. And what I learned when I got into it was that there were some really hard challenges and really big mental shifts that I had to make if I was going to be successful in this building. So let's get right to it. You will learn that in the real estate world, the most important thing that you can do is have a strong database and work that strong database. Now, something interesting about when I got into the business is I moved to Colorado Springs. I was not living here previously. And so my database, albeit 15 to 1,700 people, because I just had a lot of friends or acquaintances, I guess, none of them were here. I didn't know anybody here. And so I still had to spend time organizing my database, getting it into a CRM. So if you don't know what a CRM is, that is a customer relationship manager. That's effectively the system that you use to track everybody that is in your database. By the way, a phone is also kind of a CRM. In your phone, you have your phone book. We're going to talk about just iPhones for now. And you have your phone book. You have all your contacts list. And it can be a source of information, or it can just be names and phone numbers. Early on, I just kept it as names and phone numbers, and I didn't do a ton to systemize my database. And it's the most awkward thing when you're brand new into the business, because you're like, that's my friend. I don't need to take notes on my friend because I talk to them all the time, or I talk to that person relatively often. And it feels weird to then put them into the system and take notes on them. So the first mental shift that I need you to make that was really, really powerful for me was when I realized that taking notes and systemizing the relationship actually just made me a better friend. I was just less forgetful. I remembered important dates and important events and names and things that were going on in these people's lives. That was really awesome. And the way that it started, initially it was like, okay, I've got to upload everybody into my CRM. We use a CRM called Lofty. It's through our brokerage at Real Broker. So at first it was like, okay, upload them, talk to them, take some notes, but who do I talk to? When do I talk to them? What the heck am I talking to them about? Especially, like I told you, they're not here in Colorado Springs. So it's like, how do I manage these conversations and what am I doing? Number one, how do I decide who to talk to? There is a program. I'm saying a program. It's a manual program or a system called DTD2. Do the database 2. You can Google it. It is very straightforward. Effectively, what you do is it helps you break up your database into chunks. So the way that it works is it breaks it up into, so you organize everything by their last name. So we're going to say A and W and N. So A and W, week 1 is I'm going to call everybody whose last name starts with A and W. And then I'm going to write letters, a handwritten letter to somebody or everybody whose last name starts with N. Okay, so AWNN. And it breaks out the entire alphabet. What's cool about it is it works through it quarterly. So effectively what should happen is you should be calling people basically once a quarter. Now, that might sound like a lot because you're thinking, wow, I don't really call people that much. Well, you're gonna get used to it. And here's a framework by which you can do it. The easiest one to latch onto is a system called Ford. This is a way to guide conversations, right? It's like, well, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to be talking to him about. Am I just supposed to call him and say, do you know anybody that's trying to buy or sell real estate? No. Let me say that again. No, that's not the way. Ford is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. When in doubt, you just start with family. When in doubt, hey, how's your wife doing? How are your kids doing? Ideally, you know their names. And if you can't remember their names, you type them into your CRM and you check that CRM before you call them. So I pull up Alex Andrewson. I don't have a person named that in my CRM, but it starts with an A. So we've got Andrewson and I'm going to call him. And it's like, hey, how's it going? You know, I saw this thing. This is your script. I saw this thing on Instagram, on Facebook, or freaking whatever. And it made me think of you. So I figured I would just give you a call real quick because it's been a little while since we caught up. How's your wife doing? I remember you said that you were up for a promotion, or you said that you were working on X project at work. How did that turn out? What was cool about that? Sweet. Here's a cool thing about the Ford model is that when you run through this model, inevitably the conversation circles back to you. Maybe they already know that you're doing real estate. And I'm going to tell you, so stick around. I'm going to tell you how they might already know, but maybe they already know, maybe they don't. And so if they don't, the conversation is pretty simple, right? Especially for people that are like not living near you. It's very simple because it's really just like, oh yeah, I got out of the military. I got my real estate license. I really freaking love it. Oh, cool. How's that going? I love it. That is your answer. I get this question all the time. It's like, how do I tell new people, you know, about me being in real estate? You just tell them that you freaking love it, that it's exciting and it's super fun and you love the people that you work with and you love where you work and you love getting to go into homes. And all they have to know, all they have to feel is your excitement. That is literally it. They don't need you to like make up some crazy stats or like, they don't even necessarily need to have any reason to know, like, well, have you done it? Nobody's going to ask you, well, have you done any deals yet? How many deals have you done? I don't think anybody's going to ask you that. And it's really just like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Yeah, I'm freaking loving it. It's really cool. It's definitely challenging. It's a lot different than what I was doing before, but I really feel like this is where I belong and I'm having so much fun. I really love it. I love the economics. I love the market. That is a great response, and a response that I have used, by the way, still to this day, when people ask, how's the business going? Whether my business is up or down, I love it. And it helps because, surprise, I do love it, which is why I'm here. So that's number one. And then number two, you're always going to get this question of, how's the market? Well, let me go ahead and give you the response to that. Yeah, that's a super good question. I mean, it depends. What are you trying to do? Are you like, are you selling, or are you buying, or are you like interested in investing? Because it really depends based on what you're trying to do. And then they give you an answer. And if you know anything about your market, which you should, then you can respond accordingly. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. I can't tell you exactly what to say there because it is about your market and your knowledge and your expertise. And by the way, you might be watching this not in September of 2024, so the market might be totally different. So you just need to have at least a baseline understanding. But that's always my favorite way to respond to that is like, how's the market? Well, it depends. What are you trying to do? Are you looking to like, are you interested in selling or buying? It kind of depends on who's asking. So what perspective, or what have you heard, or what do you think? And then that opens some dialogue. Okay. So what happens? So you have this conversation and I am taking notes, okay? Now, something that I really love to do, this was actually the game changer for me, was when I started using my phone as a better form of a CRM. Now, it is not my full CRM. That's not where I take notes. That's not where I'm like setting reminders, because that would it's just not efficient to do it that way. And the computer programs like Lofty are way more powerful. However, something really, really helpful that I recommend all my brand new agents do is learn to take out your phone, meet somebody, put their mother freaking number in there, and then what you're gonna put underneath where it says company, so it's first name, last name, company, We're not going to put a company. We're going to put where did I meet them and maybe one or two things about them. Why are we going to do this? Because the human brain is good at segmenting, but bad at remembering names. I cannot remember people's names all the time. And I really do try. I put a concerted effort into remembering people's names. But now what I do is like, if I am going to the gym, right? I go to a Vasa here in Colorado Springs. And if I have somebody's number from the gym and I'll walk in and I'll see that person, I'll be like, oh my God, I can't remember their name. I will go to my contacts and search Vasa, or I will search Starbucks or Target, because I remember where I met them, but then I just can't remember their name. And it's really helpful when you know 3 or 4 or 5 people, or you know people that are on the staff at some restaurant that you go to or coffee shop that you frequent often, because then you can just type it in before you walk in and you go, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. And maybe you have a couple notes about them. And then when you go up, you can say, oh my God, what's up, Jareth? It's nice to see you, man. It's been a little while. And that builds so much rapport. That is awesome. That's not disingenuous. That's not rude. It's not weird. It is just me learning how to be a better friend and how to have better relationships. People love it when you use their first name. The other thing that a really powerful CRM allows you to do is then you can go in there and you can take the follow-up notes. So if somebody tells you that they're working on a project, or they've got a graduation coming up, or so-and-so's birthday, their kid's birthday, their wife's birthday, an anniversary, anything like that, and you can put some of that information into your CRM, and you can set reminders to call, to send a note, to send even a text, man. Like, anything is better than nothing. And it just puts you back at the top of mind again. Number 1, which is organize and systemize your friendships and your database, leads me into number 2, which is asking for referral business. How do I put this gently? You have to get comfortable asking for business. So you have this conversation, you're running through Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? And they ask you about some business and you say it's great. And then you start talking about recreation, and maybe you don't get through the whole Ford acronym, but you're trying to keep these conversations relatively short so that it's not awkward. Every time you call them, they're like, oh my God, he's going to talk to me for 30 minutes. They think, oh, we're just going to have like a little 7 to 10 minute conversation, chat real quick, just catch up. That's totally fine, right? He's not trying to like pitch me on something every freaking time that I talk to him. However, an easy way that I have found to breach the conversation, so this works specifically for military, but you can adapt this to however or whatever job that your people might have. What I would always say is like, hey, Caleb, so like, what are you gonna be at XYZ base forever? Or like, are you PCSing ever? Like, what the heck? I feel like you've been there forever. And they go, they giggle, and then they respond and they tell you what is happening with their move. Maybe they're like, actually, we're staying here for like another 3 years. It just extended. And you're like, sick. That's awesome. Dude, I love that for you. Do you guys own a home? Or have you guys do own a home. Sweet. But then, like they said that they're having a kid. Are you guys planning on staying in that home? And you can have a little bit of strategy conversation with them that's not super awkward. It doesn't feel like an interrogation. It's just like, tell me about the big life changes that are coming up. And then I will gently put these together, but I'm not trying to like force you into anything. Now, sometimes they go, actually, yeah, I am moving this fall. And you say, great, I have a freaking baller lender. Let me just put you in touch, because they'll get you squared away. That's who I do my personal deals with. It's who we send all of our clients to. They're a freaking killer, and that person will take care of you. That is such a good strategy because it's such low pressure. It's like, I'm not trying to get you to do business with me. I just want to hook you up so that when you move, it's a smooth and easy process, and we get way ahead of the power curve. Here's the rule. As a new agent, if you take nothing else from this video, take this. If you act like their agent, you will become their agent. If you act like their agent, you will become their agent. And so just taking the initiative, not like, oh, do you want me to? Hey, let me put you in touch with our lender. He's a super good guy, or she's a super baller teammate. She's not going to bother you. She's not going to bug you. But in my experience, it is actually a couple months out that you should start looking at this stuff, because you want to make sure that you're squared away when the time actually comes, so that you're not reactive, but you're proactive. And they go, oh, yeah, that'd be great. You do that, and then you know where they're moving, and you can easily then say, by the way, I have a super killer partner out there that I do real estate, that I do business with. I send all my clients to them because they are an absolute rock star. They've been really, really good to me since I got into this business. I know that they're like a high performing agent, whatever you want to say, make them sound awesome. And you say, let me put you in touch. And then you send out that referral and you get 25, 30, 35% of a referral fee from that agent when your friend moves there and closes a deal. That is awesome. I did that so much my first year. My goal was to send out 100 referrals my freshman year of real estate. Now, spoiler alert, I did not send out 100. I sent out about 50. I made about $30,000 just sending out referral business. And it was because I was willing to dial through my DTD2s and ask people what was going on. By the way, what do I say if Caleb says, no, I'm not PCSing. I'm going to be here for freaking ever, another 3 years. Number one, he might want to upgrade his house while he's there. So you can still put him in touch with a good agent. If he is not, maybe they're renting, maybe they want to buy a house. But another easy way to ask a follow-on question is like, oh, sick. Is there anybody there that I know that's PCSing or that's moving? Who else do I know? Like, what's going on? Who's staying? Who's coming? Who's going? And it's a way to just like start getting yourself into that community and having real estate conversations with your friends. Okay, we're gonna get to, again, how to solidify your place as king or queen realtor in their mind. But this is the start, is that you have to understand that the purpose is to build a relationship, right? You want to have strong relationships with these people because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And you want them to know you and like you and trust you. And trust comes with conversations about real estate where you sound competent and confident, okay? So referral business and building a referral business as the backbone, or maybe just the supporting structures of your real estate business is a phenomenal way to not get commission breath when you start working with your own buyers and sellers. There's no pressure. I'm not even asking my friends to do deals with me. Like, I wasn't asking them like, well, could you move to Colorado Springs and let me know? Because I had not done any deals. And it was kind of a weird expectation that it was like, why would they do deals with me? I don't know. But what's cool is what does eventually happen is you have a conversation with an agent, you end up pushing that referral out, and then they, hopefully someday, will have a referral that's coming to Colorado Springs or wherever the heck you live, and they end up sending their referrals to you. And it becomes this two-way street. And if you do this enough, you build this cool referral network all over the country, which, by the way, you could do a whole video just on building a referral network. All right, this part is so important. So if you have not been paying attention up to this point, I need you to start paying attention. Pull out your notepad. We're going to start writing, because the number one thing that every new agent wants to know is, how do I leverage social media? How do I do business through social media? I feel like I'm so far behind. It's kind of embarrassing. A bunch of people, what are people going to think that I'm trying to be an influencer? Oh my God, there's so many questions and so many insecurities that just kind of revolve around social media. So I'm just going to tell you what worked for me and how I did this early on. And you know what might work for you, or some version of this might actually work for you as well. It was a very subtle approach. I decided that I was getting into the business, and the first thing that I started to do was get active on social media. My previous career, I was not super active on social media. I would just post photos every now and then because, like from travels and stuff like that. But I was not like, unfortunately, to use this term, I was not trying to be an influencer. And it's not that I'm trying to be an influencer now. It's just that I understood that I'm going to have to be serious about my social media game if I want to use it as one of the pillars of my real estate business. By the way, you don't have to. There are people that do it without it, but I find it a little bit perplexing, people that don't even try, because it is an easy way to be in front of your sphere, if nothing else, very, very often. Number one, what is the goal with social media? The goal with social media is not necessarily to go viral. It's not to become an influencer. It's not to become famous. It's not to have 10,000 followers. Those are cool things that could happen if you want them to and if you strategize appropriately. But the number one goal of social media is to have your friends and sphere and family and all those people, when they think the word real estate, they think your name. I want anybody in my sphere, whether they live in Colorado Springs or not, when they think real estate, they think Kyle, and they put them together. And the only way that that happens is if I'm active on social media. Sorry. The only way that that happens is if I am active on social media. So early on, what did that look like for me being active on social media? Well, number one, I knew that at some point, like I didn't have any clients early on, right? I didn't even have any prospects, but I knew that somebody was going to Google me and I wanted them to go to my page and say, oh, this guy is nice. Or he seems like a nice guy. He seems well put together. He seems well thought out. He seems like a guy that I could trust him a little bit. And so what I did early on, this is what worked for me because I always wanted to do this anyway, was I would like read a book and maybe a chapter that was really important to me or something. And I'd pick like a single idea and I would always credit that idea to that book, but I just wanted to share it. And it was that simple. All I would say is like, I was reading this book the other day, Homeless to Billionaire, and there was this concept in there that I really, really loved. And it was blah, 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 blah. Now, that's not a great hook. That's not a great format, but I didn't know any better and I didn't care. All I was doing was putting content out there so that if somebody came to my page, even though there wasn't a lot of real estate stuff yet, although I'm going to get to how you can have real estate content there, I wanted them to maybe click on a video and see, oh, this guy's just talking about being honest, being a good guy, being proactive or working hard or giving back. Like that's all this guy's talking about. It's not even controversial. It's just like, how can I not like this guy? That was what I wanted people to do in the beginning. Well, when you couple that with the real estate strategy, the real estate strategy to, by the way, not just look busy, but be busy, is you have to get in the field by yourself with another new agent. Everyone, to be honest, a lot of people just want to wait until somebody's like, oh, hey, new person, come shadow me. That's not going to happen very often because it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward to go out and have somebody else with you. And like, you're trying to be efficient with your time. And to like, so to add somebody else, it can be a drain. By the way, I'm not discouraging that. I'm just saying, don't sit around and wait for that. Don't think that you can't get into the field before then. So what I started doing is I was like, man, I really don't know Colorado Springs that well. So I would pick a neighborhood and I would go to that neighborhood and I'd spend like an entire day or at least a half a day and go through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 homes if I could. And I didn't need to spend a ton of time in each one. But what was really cool to me was to be able to see in one neighborhood multiple homes that were representative of that neighborhood at different price points. So for here in Colorado Springs, it'd be like, well, what's at 400, 600, 800, right? Or 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever it looks like. And that was, I cannot tell you how powerful that was. Because very quickly, when I would have a client, I could easily say, oh yeah, I have been in every single house in Woodmore. So when we're looking at this house and we're trying to comp it, like, I actually think it is priced very fairly, or that house is priced really, really high because I've been in every house in this neighborhood that is on the market, or I've been in 90% of the houses that are on the market right now. And this one, I can tell just based on its condition is XYZ, too high, too low, just right. Imagine their dismay. It doesn't matter if you're new. If you can say something like that, people go, oh, man, Kyle really knows what he's talking about. Once upon a time, I had a client that this is around that same time frame. I was pretty young in the business, and somebody brought up a house that they saw over on the other side of town. They were like, yeah, I saw this one. It was really cool. It was just like this, I knew the neighborhood. It was in Rockrimmon, and they were like, it's like this blue house, and it looked really cool. And I was like, it's like 535, and they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's 123 Ravenglass Way. I was like, I've been in that house. To be honest, you would hate that house. Based off of what you told me, you would hate that house. And it was the credibility that I gained by doing that was humongous. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about social media. Can you put those on your story? You go do a neighborhood tour and you're just talking about things that are in the neighborhood, or you're touring houses in the field. Can you put those on your Instagram story? Yeah. And then a couple little tips on how to make those things have more engagement. Add a poll. Do you like these built-ins? How do we feel about bay windows? Is this master bed, like the heart eyes slider, like rate this room. Would you live here? Like all kinds of stuff. And you don't have to do a ton. You don't have to go over the top, but you start doing that and people engage and you start popping up a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. You can take pictures of the houses, which one is your favorite, A, B, C, or D, and have all 4 of them broken up. That is a phenomenal way. By the way, they don't know that you're not doing showings. Nobody knows that you don't have clients. Okay. Let me tell you, I was in the business I'd been in the business for about 6 or 7 months. And at this point, I'd had a couple deals finally going under contract and finally selling. I'd had, I think, my first 2 closings. And I remember one of my friends who is a small business owner, but like pretty dang successful. He was like, bro, you're killing it. And I was like, thanks. I don't know if I'm killing it per se, because like I knew that I was still very young and didn't have a ton of deals under contract. But he was like, well, you're giving the perception, and that perception is going to pay off because that's going to build confidence in other people, knowing that you're young in the business. They're going to be like, dang, dude, this guy got into the business and got right after it, and he is actually being really successful. And I'm popping up all the time. So get into the field, post on your stories. Every now and then, by the way, do a little walkthrough and a voiceover, or just do a walkthrough. And you can post those onto your stories. Dude, who cares if they're not great, right? You have to start to know how to get better. You have to make a real assessment of where you are. And by the way, the only way that you can make an assessment of where you are is by doing it. And then you get a little bit of feedback, and then you just keep working it. That is a phenomenal way to get your business rolling. And then the last little pro tip I'm going to give you about social media, another way that you can like fill your little content bucket, is green screens. Green screens are super easy. If you don't know how to do them, just YouTube how to do green screen on Instagram or TikTok or whatever your flavor is. I personally like Instagram a little bit more, but doing those, and those can be anything. It could be a recent real estate article nationally. It could be something about a new development in your town. It could be something about a builder in your town. Like, look at this cool house. It could be terrible deals in your city that are currently going. It can be incredible deals. You know, like the terrible deals where it's like, this is what $535,000 gets you in La Jolla, California. And then it's like an absolute dump. Green screen that stuff and talk about it. That is an easy way to associate yourself again with real estate assessment. When people think real estate, I want them to think Kyle Pettit. By the way, actually, before I continue this recap, I had one more thought pop into my brain. There is this thing that I see pop up, and I've seen it multiple times, where they're like, oh, 75% of your social media content should be personal and only 25% should be business, or 80-20. I'm going to be honest. My personal opinion, I think that's malarkey. If you look at the top producing agents, if you look at Paige Steckling, if you look at Ricky Carruth, if you look at like some of these huge realtors across the country, it is real estate, because when they pop up, they want people to think and know that they are real estate. Every now and then they are sprinkling in some personal stuff, and that's beautiful. But I would say that it should really be 60 to 75% really should be real estate related, especially young, because you're trying to also get the algorithm to understand that you are real estate, and you want it to push it to people that want real estate. All right, my friends, we are at number 4. If you have made it this far in the video, just leave a number 4 down at the bottom. I super appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with it. Here is number 4. What changed my life, what changed my business trajectory, what changed the way that I approached my day, was when I realized that when times get tough, only the skilled get paid. And by the way, times are tough. Real estate is tough right now, but I got in when the market shifted, and it was not easy anymore. I did not get in 2021 when like literally you could take a picture of a house with a BlackBerry, post it on the MLS, and you'd have a line of people out the door. That was not the business that I got into. When times get tough, only the skilled get paid. You know, a lot of people, when they are talking about their business, it's like, well, how do I get more leads? And the answer is do more lead generation and do more marketing. Everybody wants to talk about marketing. In fact, that's what we just did. We were talking about social media. But the fact is that if you don't have a high conversion rate, then you have to get an ungodly number of leads. And so what we have to really talk about is increasing the skill set. We have to sharpen the sword. Sales is a skill. Influencing people is a skill. Talking people off the ledge is a skill. Helping people make decisions for themselves, what I like to say is helping people help themselves, that is a skill set. And it comes with, honestly, a lot of freaking practice. So I've got a really good friend, Eric Hatch, who talks about his recommendation is 45 minutes every day, 8 to 8:45 should be spent script practicing. Now I started getting up at 7. My personal routine was get up at 7. I'd make my breakfast and I would sit there and I would practice my scripts while I was eating my breakfast. So it was like well out of the way so that I could start lead generation at 8 o'clock, right? That's just what worked for me. But what does script practice look like? It can look like anything. It can be rereading the same freaking sentences over and over again. By the way, where do I get these scripts? Literally freaking anywhere. And I say that because there are so many real estate agents that put out their content for free or $20. I spent $20 to buy scripts from somebody that I really respect. His name is Aaron Novello. I went to his website and I paid the $20 to get his scripts. Now his are more listing focused and listing appointment focused, but they were super powerful. And it just changed my language in general, if I'm being totally honest. So Aaron Novello is a great one. Ricky Carruth has great scripts. His Zero to Diamond program, which I believe is actually free. There are so many real estate scripts. Tom Ferry has real estate scripts that are out there. I mean, there's so much that you can look up and practice, practice, practice. You don't need to move on until you have mastered the script that is in front of you. And ways that we do it is we read them over and over and over again. And then we look up and we say them, writing them, handwriting, all of them, word for word, because your level of retention will dramatically increase when you do that. And yes, I have done all of these things. As I'm saying this, I should probably do it more because times are getting tougher and only the skilled are going to get paid. And I want to be the most skilled agent in my community. So looking at scripts, if you're a really great way to do it, by the way, is you can look up some of these scripts on YouTube. One of my favorite ways to do it is like I would be driving and I'd have a YouTube video up. Typically it was Aaron Novello, talking about listing appointments. And he'd be going through his script and he would say it and I would just be repeating it after him. Because the reason that writing is good, but there is power in speaking it. It's just like when you learn another language, like if I speak Portuguese and I haven't spoken Portuguese in a long time. And so my mouth muscles speaking that language are really weird and they're weak at it. So it's hard to, roll my R's or make some of the sounds and make it flow really smoothly because I don't speak it very often. And that is the same with using some of these sentences and phrases that maybe you're not super comfortable with, but you practice, practice, practice. You speak them out loud, you record yourself, you talk them through in a mirror, role play with your partner or your spouse or your roommate or another new agent. There's tons of role play groups. Real actually has a role play group in Workplace that gets together every morning to role play and practice. And it's freaking cool. So there's really no excuse to not honing your skill set. But you definitely want to focus, especially in these changing times with all the new NAR changes. And for some of you in some of your states, as you're aware, you guys didn't have buyer agency, now you do. So you need to know, how do I have this conversation? And that is a conversation, by the way, that you have to practice. You have to practice handling objections, or you have to practice getting the close and getting them to sign the buyer's agency agreement or whatever agreement that you're on. You have to practice presenting offers. You have to practice negotiating with other agents. It takes work. It takes skill. And I can tell you from personal experience that when I stopped relying on, but people like me, I'm charming, I'm fun, I'm high energy, I'm a high D, I'm good, I'll just schmooze my way. When I stopped doing that and I started focusing on the skill set, my business went and it started taking off. I cannot recommend it enough. Practice your skills and you will see dramatic improvements in your conversion, which will lead to business being closed. So to recap, organize your database, set up referral partners and ask for referrals and send out referrals. Get in the field, put that stuff on social media. That is the easiest way. I would set a goal to post 4 or 5 times a week when you are young. And then to close it off, number 4, practice your skills relentlessly. Do not waver on your practice. We should be practicing every day. I am holding myself accountable to. I need to be practicing more than I am currently practicing because I want to sharpen my skills, because I want to be the most talented, the highest skilled player in the game in Colorado Springs. Coming up in the future, we are going to be talking more about the social media strategy, diving in, bringing in some guests to talk about their startup in their social media strategy, because that is huge. We're going to be bringing in some people to help us hone our skills, people that are high skilled individuals that have mastered buyer representation, that have mastered seller representation. Those are going to be really, really critical videos. So make sure to subscribe to the video. We are here to take our businesses to the moon. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you in the next one.